Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to start creating a new example database. We're going to create the Collier Library Database. This is an example database that you can use to get some first-hand experience with creating access objects and designing a database app. And it's based on a fictional library database. This is a small lending library that lends out books to its patrons. It needs to track those checkouts, and it needs to see when books might be overdue. And the first thing we're going to do is take a look at some of the settings in the database file itself. So let's go ahead and create a new database. You can do that in a couple ways. You can do new and Microsoft Access Database, and you can create it right there. Let's just call this Collier. The Job Search Plus database was divided into two files. This one is going to be a single file database. It's just going to be everything in one file. There's really no reason to split it at this time. We'll go over that more later in the course. So I'm going to go ahead and call this Collier. Go ahead and open it up. And again, we get the security warning. There's not even any code in this database, but it's telling us it's an access file, so it's suspicious of it. So we'll just say enable content. Another way you can create a new database is by opening access to the main screen, as you see here, and just click on blank database. It'll come right up and allow you to set a name. And again, we'll say Collier. And you can also select the directory, and in this case it's desktop, Collier Library Database, and we could create it right there. And then we're going to go into File and Options. And here we see the options that are available for access and also for the current database file. And I'm going to go through some of these real quick. You don't have to know all of them. Many of them can be left at their defaults and you can explore them as you go. Some of them will make quite a bit more sense after you've had some experience working with access. For the current database, we have some settings that will affect how the current database file will be treated. First of all, let's set the application title. Collier Public Library Database. We don't really need an icon right now, but you could set an icon for the database if you wanted to. The display form is a form that will open up as soon as the database opens. We don't have any forms right now, but if you wanted to set a splash screen like you saw in the Job Search Plus database, you could set that here. There are a few other settings. You can tell it whether or not to display the status bar. You can set overlapping windows or tabbed documents, and that affects the way your windows in the application work. Let's take a look at how that affects things. We'll just say OK for now, and let's create a table. And you can see that it has the tabbed documents activated right now, so everything is maximized and it has the tabs here at the top. If I go back in and say options and use overlapping windows, you actually have to close the database and reopen it. So let's go ahead and close it, reopen, and create table. And you can see that now it has the internal windows for the various objects as overlapping objects. So whichever is easier for you to work with, that's up to you. I'll leave it as overlapping windows for now. And let's go back to options, current database. Use access special keys. You've already seen one of those. When I hit F11 to show the navigation pane, let's go ahead and cancel this. This navigation pane right here, you can pull that up by hitting F11. That's one of the special keys. And I'm pressing F11 right now, and you can close it and reopen. And there are a few others that you can use. So you can deactivate that if you like. Usually you would leave it on, but if you were distributing this to your users, you would probably want to deactivate it in certain cases. And let's take a look at a few others. And most of these, again, you could leave them on their defaults, and it's a good idea to come back every so often and get familiar with them as you keep working with Access, so that you'll get a better feel for some of the options that are available to you as you work with Access. There are also settings for your data sheet, how data sheets like tables are shown in Access. You also have settings for the various object designers like tables and queries and forms. So it's definitely a good idea to get familiar with these as you work with Access. I'm not going to overload you with them right now. So let's go ahead and click OK. We've already set the application title. And one more thing I want to look at in this lesson is the default object pane. You've probably noticed that under tables, it has some of these tables that are grayed out. These are operational tables that the database itself maintains. It keeps a lot of information on various objects that you create, a lot of administrative information. Most of the time you won't even work with these unless you get really advanced in Access and you want to access some of the administrative information for various operations. Most of the time you'll leave these completely alone. So let's come up here to the header and right click and go to Navigation Options, and we can actually get rid of these entirely for now. We'll just clear the checkbox that says Show System Objects, and we'll click OK. And you'll notice that every one of these starts with MSYS. Access uses that prefix to indicate an administrative table within its file. So as soon as I click OK, they won't even show up anymore. So that will get those out of your way and you won't have to worry about them. And again, if we right click here, there are also some sorting options. You can sort by the name of the object, the dates, and you can sort ascending and descending. You can sort by category, or I should say you can group by object type or created date or modified date. So there's some flexibility here when you're working with Access, and you'll come to appreciate that as you design a lot of different objects and have a lot of items that you're looking at. You can easily find things, and also you can type in the search box here. There's not much to choose from right now, but that will help you find something really quick. So that's it for this lesson, and in the next lesson we'll start talking about how to organize your data and how to break it down into tables.